Good morning, friends. It is Tuesday. I think it's the 22nd. Gosh, that's terrible. That's summer for you. It is. It is Tuesday, the 22nd, and it is 8:30, and we are here with coffee and coaching this morning. I am currently having a golden milk latte. Yay. I will share this recipe on my page, Linden Griffith Coaching, my personal page, Linden Griffith. After our coffee and coaching chat this morning. So today, by the way, I'm sorry, I'm totally in my pajamas. I figured I should get dressed for you guys, but then I thought about, that everybody else is put together when they're, presenting and coaching and like trying to look a certain way and be a certain way. And I was like, screw it. I'm not going to do it like everybody else. This is who I am. This is what I am. This is what I'm doing. Good morning, Dan. Thanks for being here. So we're talking about body language today, which is a super fun topic for me. Good morning, Stephanie. Happy belated birthday. So actually, I don't know if it was your birthday. I'm sorry. Nope, it's maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyways, you guys, I'm sorry. Hi. We're talking about body language. Really fun topic for me because it's something that I think people don't think enough about. And when they do think about it, they think about it in a way that's actually, good morning, Ma Ball, that actually isn't maybe the most effective way to gather information. So, and that was me too until I thought about it differently. So the original ideas about body language, anybody have any thoughts that they want to throw out there? Aloha, Janie, thank you for being here. When you think about body language, what are the things that you guys think of? So, for example, for myself, I think a lot about like gesticulations. I think about facial expressions. I think about positioning of the body. I think about moving towards, moving away. I think head up, head down, shoulders slump, shoulders up, position, posture. So these are a lot of the things that that come to mind when I think about body language. You can extrapolate that information into how is this person reacting in an environment. You can think about this information and extrapolate it into how are they reacting with a person who, of you guys, come on, like we've all been out there, you've seen a first date and you want to watch. It's like, ooh, how's that going? So what do you look at, right? You kind of look at the body language. You look at the exchange of information physically, how close are they, the vicinity, the proximity, all these kind of things. So these are all the things that you can see. These are all the things that you can gather, and maybe you can hear. That would be some other, type of communication, literally speaking. But what I want to talk about today is the things that you can't see, the less tangibles. So like the vibrations and the energies. And I always talk about in my coaching, I talk about the emotions, which is energy in motion. And so your emotions are always giving information. Every moment of every day, no matter what it is that you're feeling, you are vibrating at a frequency that gives information. And other people are picking up on that, whether you're aware of it or not. And we all have access to this. So we were born this way. We have instincts. We have insights. Our unconscious brain is always taking in so much information, right? And it's like more information than we can ever actually focus on at once or assimilate into our conscious mind. So our unconscious brain is constantly gathering information. Its main job is to keep us safe. Its main job is to evaluate when somebody walks in, is this person going to love me? Is this person going to nurture me? Is this person going to harm me? Is this person going to be, a threat, right? And so it's constantly bringing in information that we can't see, that we can't touch, that we can't feel. And in your own lives, you may have had this kind of experience. You may meet somebody out and immediately you feel attracted to them for some reason. And I'm not just talking about like they're good looking or like you want to like say, hey, what's up? It's more like for some reason you are drawn to this person. There is an energy, there's a magnetic energy between them. And that is a match of these two frequencies that are being put out. You might meet another person, you might actually feel a bit of a repulsion, right? So it's the exact same thing, energy and magnetics, right? Like, and I'm doing this because I study Qigong, which is the intentional manipulation of energy. And this is a movement that we use called Fa Qi. And it's the generation of energy. And you can actually, if you play with this, you can begin to feel energy between your hands as you play. But anyways, this is what I'm talking about. Emotions, you cannot see them, you cannot feel them. Well, you can definitely feel them, but you feel them in your body. And so you put those out into the universe, and you're articulating a message to the universe. You're articulating a message to the people around you who are operating on that subconscious level. Do I want to be closer to this person? Do I want to get away from this person? So you may have had some natural instincts when you meet people about whether or not you like this person, want to get to know them better, would like to spend more time with them. You may have had the opposite reaction of like, this person doesn't feel good, this doesn't feel safe, I'd like to get away from them. Other instances where these things are at play, these instincts are, for example, like, the example of a dark alley, right? I don't know what you would call that, but the stereotype of a dark alley. You kind of just get a vibe or a feeling that like, maybe I don't want to go down that way. Those are your instincts. You're picking up on something. It's the intangible that you can't touch or feel. And so if we listen to those things, if we begin to learn how to tune into the language of the universe, which is energies and vibrations and frequencies and emotions, energy and motion, then we can start to actually gather a lot more information. And this is applicable in every area of life. Think about if you could gather more information from your partner when they walk in from the door. If you're in a relationship, you could tell if your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend was in a good or a bad mood before even turning around. How might that change your reaction to them? And if they're in a bad mood and you're expecting a good mood and you're disappointed, for example, then you can tune in very quickly and meet them where they're at and recognize that they're not in a space of generation and happiness and wanting to connect in a lighter vibration and frequency kind of way. What they need is something else entirely different. So it can help you in relationships. It can help you in business. Think about if you're making, deals or hiring people or, working with a coworker or employees, you can start to gather information about this person when you tune in to these things that can't be touched or are less tangible. And so you can start to gather this information about, do I want to hire this person? Will they mesh well with these coworkers? Do I trust this person? Do I get openness and, more connection when I am with this person? Do I expand and grow? And that's where generation lives. That's where possibility is. So when there's this positive frequencies, when there's a good match, it creates a feeling. And that feeling is one of a vastness. It's a largeness that is difficult to describe in words, but you can feel it when you're with these people. And it's an expansion of yourself. You feel bigger, you feel brighter, you feel like you can be all of who you are. You don't have to filter or play small or get, scared that you might say the wrong thing. I don't know if any of you have ever had that experience, but when I was, when I didn't know myself very well and when I was drinking and partying a lot, I didn't trust myself as far as I could throw myself. I mean, it was just, I didn't trust myself at all. I had to filter everything that I said. I couldn't be myself. It was a really crappy way to exist in this life. And I kind of felt like I was having to fool everybody because I couldn't be all of who I was. Because obviously if you're an addict, you don't want to get caught, right? And so I had to play small. Now this is just one example of what playing small looks like. And what it feels like is that kind of smaller feeling. You don't feel comfortable or open or exposed. And that's terrifying. The idea of that of here I am, and all my secrets and everything is mortifying. And so you start to pay attention to how do you feel in certain environments? How do you feel with certain people? How do you feel when you do certain things? This information, the expansion or the contraction, will help to guide you in all different ways. It'll help to guide you in your career path. It'll help to guide you in choosing a partner. It'll help to guide you in your parenting. When you're with a kid, think about that. Kids are the ultimate in expansion. If you're contracting and playing smaller and controlling, it's something to look at. There's no good or bad around it, but your kid can feel that. And so they are the ultimate purest expression of expansion and love and joy and freedom because they don't know any better. They don't know to play small. They don't know to shrink. They don't know to contract until we teach them. So it's don't do this and don't do that and don't act this way and don't act that way. And now all of a sudden we're teaching our children how to contract. And so often it's because of our own repressed attitudes that we repress our children because we're uncomfortable with their joy and their freedom. There's definitely an element of keeping them safe. My stepson, I adore him, but he is not coordinated. This is known through the family, right? He's just not coordinated. He's darling, but it's anytime he's like running anywhere, it's terrifying because I'm afraid he's just going to like bite it and just face plant. Anyways, so certainly you want to keep him safe, but at the same time, it's good to check in and see like where's your repressed self repressing your child, and can you actually use that little being to challenge yourself to open up and to expand and to grow. So maybe you join in. Now all of a sudden that contraction and resistance in you is able to open up into expansion of going back to a childlike state of freedom and fun and joy. So this is one way that I want you to think about body language. It's all about the expansion and the contraction. And as we pay attention to our environments, people, places, things, activities, you can begin to notice, am I expanding? And you can begin to notice, am I contracting? So did that feel good? Expansion. Did it not feel so good? Contraction. And that's the freedom of, that's what paying attention to that information will allow you, is the freedom of becoming more of who you are by taking in that information and then being intentional about being with those people, being in those places and doing those things. And as you learn that about yourself, you can be intentional. So I know, for example, that I love to coach. So this is going to be my job. I've tried to make myself do all kinds of other things. None of them work. It felt small. Felt like I was lying to myself and others, you know? And what happens is your brain starts to rationalize things that aren't right for you. So I'm kind of going off on a tangent right here, but when I was trying to be something else, my brain was always like, yeah, do this. It's safer. It's predictable. It's, you know, what everybody else is doing. It's a job that's steady and stable and has like benefits, all these great things. But I could tell I was contracting and my brain was trying to make it be the right thing for me. Well, that's a brain fighting expansion. And quite frankly, the brain fighting expansion will always keep you contracted and safe and closed down. So if you notice that, and that's kind of what segues into our second part of the conversation, which is incredible because I usually don't plan that very well. But the second part of the conversation is about, and now I forgot already. I'm going to blame brain surgery. So the second part of the conversation is about paying attention to your internal environment. So just to finish off what we were talking about, right? Being intentional about surrounding yourself with people, places, things that feel good. Read books that light you up, where you feel expansion. Read or watch movies that fill you up and where you feel expansion. You're going to watch some stuff and be around some people where you feel contracted, right? Because that's life and that's what we do. It's just part of it. And so that's information too. You know, if you go on a coffee date or if you go out, swipe right, is that the one where you decide that you want to meet up? I don't know. But you do that and then you are with this person and you don't feel like, maybe you have nice conversation, but there's no expansion, right? Like expansion is so obvious, you guys. It's so much fun. It's like the volume goes up, the body feels bigger because it's safe and you can like freely share and be. And if you notice that feeling with your person that you're with or in the environment that you're in, we want more of that. So for me, that actually comes in coaching. If I had to do something that was detail oriented and, on a computer all day and sort of analytically minded, I would contract so quickly. I would just like pretty much go out of existence, which is really the truth of all of it, right? Like if you force yourself to be something that you're not, you will contract to the point where you are literally just putting out your own fire. And at that point, it's a painful experience and it's full of fear and we can't contribute in this world. And Janie just added coming from love and pure joy. Exactly. These are some of the qualities that we experience when we are coming from expansion. So expansion is love, joy, creativity, inspiration. We feel connection. We feel freedom, all these wonderful qualities that are so available when we're in alignment with what we're meant to be doing and our purpose on this earth. Now, when we're on the other side of the coin, when we're in contraction, the things that we begin to feel are things like depression and fear, and we begin to judge others or ourselves. There's lack of self-love. There's procrastination. There's second-guessing everything. The mind really steps into overdrive, which leads us into overwhelm and stress. And so if we're not in alignment with that energetic vibration and frequency that is who we are and who we are meant to be, we're getting tons of signals that are screaming at us saying, this is not it. This is not right. And if you've ever been, for example, in a controlling relationship, you know how much you contract, right? And I've been in them and I've seen them, and they don't, fortunately for me, mine haven't lasted very long, but you see people who have been in them for a really long time. And it's almost like this little being, this big, beautiful being becomes little and suffocated because the other person is so enormous and big and takes over their entire being. And it's really good information to consider when you're dating, or again, when you're in a career. Are you playing smaller? Are the people that you're with, even if you like what you're doing, are they allowing you space to show up as who you are and to create and be inspired and to share these ideas? If that's not your case, and you might be feeling some feelings right now as I'm talking about this, or reflecting in your own life, where do I feel, big and whole and complete and expansive, and where do I feel like I'm contracted and unsafe and I start to get scared, or maybe start to feel other feelings of depression, procrastination, or stuck even. All these feelings are feelings of qualities that are indicators that this is not your path. So we can try to tell ourselves that this is right. And I've worked with people who have been in careers for 2, 3, 4 decades, and their whole lives have been mildly contracted, and they just have never realized it because they've been in it for so long. They get used to this sort of constant and perpetual smaller way of being. And so when you start to shine a light on these feelings and take in this information, you can begin to gain more information about what is serving you and what is not. So if you don't feel like your job is lighting you up and your relationship is lighting you up and filling you up, and I understand that this is sort of, like best case scenario, right? Like you're not going to be filled up and lit up at every job and every relationship, every moment of every day. But our goal is to be with the people who naturally bring out more of our true selves, the people who naturally bring out more of that authentic being that is within us, so that we can grow to be more of who we are. And when we're with those people, then we actually get to be surprised by ourselves. And when we're in our career, we get to be surprised by who we are. And it gives us this amazing ability to become in a very natural way. So we step into more of our power, we step into more of our creativity. From inspiration, we gain to learn more about ourselves, and then we can help other people more. And so this gathering of information by paying attention to feeling actually allows us to navigate our way through life in a way that is directed from our hearts and our beings rather than just our heads, because our heads are full of fear. Our heads are trying to keep us safe, or trying to keep us protected. And our heads are only comfortable with what we already know, either what we've seen or what we've experienced. And so if you're living from your head and you're only letting in what you already know, what you've already seen, or what you've experienced, and you're the kind of person that's like, how am I in another bad relationship? How am I in another bad job? Why does this keep happening to me? It's because you're not leading from a different part of your body. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And when you lead your life from your head only, you do the same thing over and over again because your head is leading from fear, and you get the same results. And so the invitation is to start using this information, to start using everything from your neck down to begin to inform. The heart has so much that can give you so much information that it actually, and I'm going to mess this up, and I don't know if I'm going to, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. Heart math is out there, and it's something that measures this, but it has its own, your heart has like its own neurological system, and it has its own energetic frequencies that are very separate from your head. A lot of times they're in alignment, but a lot of times they're out of alignment. And so if we learn to live from our heart, and this is what I'm talking about, living from your heart is living from expansion. Living from your heart is living from your true self. And so you'll notice like your head getting in fights with your heart or your intuition or your gut. Back in the day, in like caveman days, they thought that the brain or the operating system that you made decisions from lived in your gut. They didn't recognize that it was from the head because they intuitively knew, because the gut was actually tied into the universe. This is where the feelings are. The head, the heart, and the gut are tied into the language of the universe. And so they would follow, they would find water, they would find food. They weren't, I mean, yes, they would gather information as the years went on, but nothing is totally predictable. So they would tap into their intuition, and that's how they would actually make decisions based on, like, are we going to go, north? Are we going to go south? Let's go to the mountains. Let's go to, whatever it is. They could sense these things in their body, and that would inform their next decisions. Now, over the years, as we've, evolved, we've started to rely more heavily on our heads, which is really a shame, because I don't know about you guys, but like, my head is fucked up. And I mean that, like, sorry, it's just what it is. Like, I use the language because that's how I feel sometimes. I feel like I'm crazy. Like, and I know most of us have been there. Like, it's just, sometimes the things that your head can come up with are just, they're insane, and you feel like a crazy person. My husband is a counselor at a junior high and a middle school, and he's, he has a lot of education. He has a master's in whatever it is it takes to do that. But anyways, I literally looked at him before, and I'm like, honey, do you think that I have like a mental disorder? Like, I need you to tell me and be honest with me, because I feel like there could be something wrong. And so all this to say that, like, your head will come up with some bizarre stuff, right? It's like somebody gives you a funny look, or you think with your head somebody gives you a funny look, and now your head is looking out for fear or for things that are threatening, right? Somebody makes a funny look, automatically the head is like, okay, they made a funny look at me. They are, now they're talking bad about me. They don't like me. We draw these conclusions that are based off of such little information, but because the head is looking for things that are threatening, we conclude, these deranged ideas that are based off of nothing, when in fact maybe that person smelled something bad, or maybe that person was thinking about something else in their own life. More likely something in their own life. They're not really thinking about you. And so this is why we need to start to learn from the body down. So this is all about the outside coming in, and I want to switch into the inside going out. So we can start to pay attention to our bodies. It's called being human. Gosh, it's the truth. That's why this is all, like, if any of what I'm saying is like, oh my gosh, I can relate, it's because we are all human. Thank you, Kathy. Yes. And we are all having these separate experiences on earth and doing these same things, but we're all doing it without talking about it. And that's why I love what I do. I coach really successful men, and I coach 16 and 17-year-old girls. And in between, like, honestly, like, there are similarities in everybody that I coach. Underneath the surface, we're all doing the same thing. And that's why this information, some of it will land, some of it will be like, she's crazy, and that's okay too. And you'll take something with you, and you may not with this one, and that's all right. But the whole idea of all of this is that, yes, we are human. And so we can use the part of us that is so human, that we haven't relied on for a long time, to gain information and to become more of that human that we are intended to be. So, using it from the inside out, we start to pay attention to how we feel. So, for example, throughout the day, I'll check in and how do I feel right now? When I am doing this conversation, when I'm having coaching with you guys, when I'm in flow and I'm not thinking, my body is relaxed, I feel good, I feel free. If I start to feel like I'm losing track of where I'm going, or I don't know what I'm going to say next, that's my brain kicking in. And then I start to notice that I'm contracting in my body. My left calf was just totally contracted, and I wasn't paying attention because I didn't know how I was going to get to this part of the conversation. And now that I'm there, I'm able to let go. But you can start to pay attention to, when I walk into this room, is there more tension in my body? Or when I'm talking to this person, well, we talked about all that, just kidding. So what I do is I will check in with my body, and I will ask myself, how do I feel right now? What do I feel in my body right now? And I'll do this randomly throughout the day. I actually have an app. It's called the Mindfulness Bell, and you can set it for like 3 random bells per hour, or you could do like 15-minute intervals throughout your day, however you want to set it up. But when that bell goes off, you can check in with your body, because you kind of have to train yourself to check in with your body, because we actually pretty much ignore this for the most part. We were not tuned into the, anything below the neck. So you start to check in with the body, ask yourself, how do I feel right now? And that can actually inform what your experience is of the environment that you're in. So I for example, I chased a solar eclipse yesterday. It was cool. Where we were, it was a really great experience. I got to be with family and friends, and it was wonderful. But I was stuck in traffic for 11 hours yesterday. I don't know about some of you guys, but we came from Eugene back home to Tacoma, and it was brutal. And it was a practice in patience, and I'm not a napper, so I couldn't sleep. And I was with my parents in the car. And so it was like this constant practice in checking in. And I would notice my body start to contract because I was stressed out about being in traffic for 11 hours. So, totally justifiable and normal. But what I was able to do is, as I noticed the contraction, I would intentionally release. So I would actually let go of the tension in my body, and that would actually inform my brain that it's okay and I'm safe, I can be here. Because when our body is contracted, we're actually tensing to fight or flee. So it's a whole fight or flight syndrome, right? If our body is in contraction, we're either ready to run or punch somebody in the face. So, which is often unnecessary. So as we gather information from our bodies, we can begin to be more intentional about, what do I want to create in this moment? So you might be in overwhelm and feel it in your body before you notice it in your head. And if you are, you can begin to relax your muscles, and take some deep breaths, get some breathing into your belly. Belly breathing informs the brain that we're okay and we're safe. And so you can use the body to modulate your experience in your brain, because it's really hard to come down off of like super high threatened fear mode in your head and your body's contracted. And so if we can't regulate the brain, then we can move into the body and regulate the body. And it just takes a bit of awareness and a bit of consciousness. And so I use that bell to begin to practice this consciousness. I use the bell to begin to heighten my awareness. And then when I check in, I ask myself that question: what am I feeling right now? What can I let go of right now? What doesn't feel good right now? What does feel good right now? You ask yourself these questions, you gain more information, and now you can be intentional about letting go of what you need to and stepping into more of what serves you. And so that is about body language this morning, you guys. I hope that something in there was helpful and worthwhile and served you on your journey. And if you have any other questions about how this stuff works, or how do you integrate this in your own life, or if something about this resonated, please feel free to reach out. I'm open to a conversation. I'm happy to support you in any way that I can. And I will look forward to next Tuesday at 8:30. I will be right here, coffee and coaching. Much love to all of you. Bye.